Okay, thank you everybody. It's nice to see you all here. You just heard from Jeff talk about Keith Neumeyer's gold company. You're going to hear about Keith's silver company now. So again, my name is Todd Anthony. I'm the VP of Corporate Development. I've been with the company now for about 8 years. And we'll do our best to get into some of the meat, but as Jeff had, we just had 10 minutes to go through this. So we are at booth 309 before I forget, so feel free to come after the presentation if you have any follow-up questions. And Jill's passing out the presentation. This is a condensed version of this, and hope we have enough. Anyways, as the slide shows here, we're one metal, one country, silver in Mexico. Here are the forward-looking statements. We're a fairly pure silver company. About 60% of our revenue comes from the sale of silver. We're actually one of the purest, if not the purest, currently in the entire world. We do have some gold production. We do have some lead production and a little bit of zinc production. We have 6 producing mines. We just announced last week the acquisition of PRIMERO mines, which will bring us our 7th producing mine in Mexico. There's a slide coming up, and I'll talk about that. And over the next few years, our goal is to get, this number says 20 million ounces, but with the acquisition of PRIMERO, will be much, much higher than that. So the market cap as of last Friday was around 1.2 billion, which was obviously a lot less than a lot of the we were just about a year ago. We actually hit a market cap of around 3 billion. We do trade quite a bit of stock, both on the NYC and the TSX. Very, very liquid. And as of today, we're about $118 million in the bank. We've got about 25 million in debt right now, so we're net cash, let's just say 100 million. So very good position. It's the strongest treasury we've really had in the company's history. And you can see our share price has been all over the map. But 2017 was somewhat of a flat year. And we're expecting with San Dimas that we're going to see a re-rating in the stock by mid-next year. So the acquisition of PRIMERO, as I said, we just announced recently. Now this mine we've had our eyes on for quite a long time. We were in discussions since last February. It took about a year to get the deal done. But at the end of the day, what we're getting at First Majestic is a world-class asset in the state of Durango, which is our backyard. You'll see on the slide coming up, this mine is literally 45 minutes from the airport. This mine is going to essentially double our production overnight. We also renegotiated the stream with Wheaton Precious Metals. So starting day one, this mine will produce a profit for us. The streaming deal was rejigged. They basically took a 60% decrease in the amount of production. They were originally getting the first 6 million ounces of silver. We've renegotiated that on a gold equivalent. So they're taking 25% of the gold, 25% of the gold or silver adjusted using 70-to-1. And they're paying $600 an ounce, so basically twice per ounce of what they were buying originally. So this, as I said, this mine is going to be a cash cow for us. We're expected to close the end of March, early to late March, and we'll be giving out guidance to the market once we do. We obviously don't want to show our hand right now until the deal is done. But essentially, we'll get up to 27 to 30 million ounces of production a year with San Dimas. So we are spread around Mexico. We have 6 producing mines in 6 different states. San Dimas is there in yellow, as you can see, just outside of the city of Durango, where our main corporate office is. We have about 180 people in Durango, so it's just a perfect little bolt-on. The other projects, La Luz and Plumosis, will become mines in the future. We are spending some money at Plumosis this year. We're doing 22,000 meters of drilling. We're expected to come out with a new resource on Plumosis by the end of the year. And I won't get into each of the states, but again, this basically shows you that we have a lot of political clout in the country. We're active in 8 different states over the 9 projects, or 10 projects with San Dimas. So, we have a lot of state support, which effectively gives us a lot of federal support. And with the acquisition of San Dimas, we've already met with the governor of Durango and the minister of economy. And they support us there, and they've agreed to give us all the, any kind of help that we need. So we're very glad to have their support. So what does it do on a production slide? You can see the shaded area is San Dimas. Again, overnight, bolts on another 10 million ounces of production. So our guidance, we just came out last week as well with this. Now, obviously these totals are going to change dramatically when we update it in April with the new mine. But you can see Santa Elena at the top. It's a cash cow for us, producing silver at less than $8, $7 an ounce. And that's because of a big gold credit. This is a 50% silver, 50% gold mine. San Dimas will be similar to this operation on a cost standpoint. But you can see total all-in sustaining costs of around $15. And again, these numbers, you can't really see it on the screen, but the cost estimates, these numbers are driven by the price assumptions of the metals. We use $1,650 for silver, $1,250 for gold. Those metals are both higher than that. And the lead and zinc, I think it was $1.10 for lead and $1.40 for zinc. So market prices. So basically these numbers are already high because of the low metal prices. So and also the costs are relative to our investment. This year we're expected to spend $125 million, which is up from last year. Most of this is going into underground development, $49 million. This compares to last year of around $46 million in development. Exploration is also higher. We're expected to do 180,000 meters of drilling this year, which is a record high for the company. You'll see in the upcoming slide. But this just goes to show you we're in growth mode again. We're going to start filling these mills up again, and you're going to see production grow over the next few years as a result of this investment. So this is our exploration slide. There's not a lot of exploration things in this presentation. But the red line that you see is the amount of meters that we've drilled out over the last few years. You can see in 2011, I've got a pointer here, we had record drilling this year. Or in 2012. And what that does is, there's a lag to when you actually start drilling to actually see the ounces show up in your 43-101s. So we're doing record drilling here. You see a growth in reserves. But as that was going, the metal prices were falling apart, and we were cutting our CapEx. So what we did was our drilling we basically brought it down to the bare bones. And what does that do? You see your reserves start to decline as you're depleting the asset. Now, over the last year or two, we've done. Last year we did 150,000 meters. This year's 180,000. So you're going to see over the next year or so, when the new reports come out, increase in reserves. And what happens with that? You get higher grades, head grades. You get higher throughputs, and you get higher production. So this is one project that we've been working on for a number of years. We're just about to turn it on. This is at our ENCANTADA mine. This is a roasting circuit. Basically, this is a huge oven, if you will. This is a 50-meter long tube that you heat the ore, or tailings in this case, to 800 degrees. 800 degrees is the melting point for manganese. This mine has manganese in the ore, which offsets the recoveries. This mine's been operating since the late 70s with very low recoveries, somewhere between 50 and 60%. So the silver that was never captured over those 30 years was left in tailings. So we finally found an economical way of recovering those silver in those tailings, and that's heating it to 800 degrees, cracking the manganese in the ore, then sending it back through the circuit. And by doing so, you recover another 64% of silver from that ore. So this is going to produce 1.5 million ounces of silver a year, adding on to the current production from the current mill feed. So this goes from 2.5 million ounces to 4 million ounces of production. This is pure silver too, 100% silver doré. So at $15 silver, which we did our economics at, it was a 42% IRR. So at $17 silver, the IRR is much, much higher, and the payback on this is literally less than 9 months. And I won't get into too much of this, but you can see over the last few years our investment in technology. This is recoveries, the blue line, 65% to currently 80%, and that's due to all these little, these processes that we've been adopting at the mine, automating all the operations, from cyanide consumption to pH monitoring to lime feed automation. Typically you don't see head grades dropping and recoveries going up due to constant tails, but this is what you're going to see over the next year. we're calling the bottom in the grades. You're going to see grades start to turn back up. When that happens and recoveries continue to go up, it's going to be a double whammy effect where you're going to see production increase dramatically. For every 1% increase in recoveries, we're recovering an extra 100,000 ounces of silver. So our goal is to get to 90%, and by getting there is through this technology, microbubbles and fine grinding. Microbubbles, I don't know if you've ever been in a plant before, but this is a typical flotation bubble. There's a big tank, and these bubbles are fairly big, like the size of a volleyball and basketball, and they rise through this tank very, very fast. And when it gets to the surface, it's silver, and it's got all these colors in it. It's got the lead, it's got the zinc, it's got the silver in it, and some gold. And that gets scooped off, and it gets concentrated, and you sell that as concentrate. With microbubbles, this is a test column right here. You inject bubbles, these tiny, tiny bubbles, millions of bubbles at the very bottom of this tube, and they rise very slowly through this tank, very, very slowly. And as it goes up, it has longer time to collect the metal. So at the very end of the day, you're collecting anywhere from 5 to 10% more metal. So it's basically free because you're already processing the ore. And we're going to be installing this technology at 4 of our 6 operations in 2018. And they're very cheap. We're talking like $400,000 to install commercial size microbubbles. So I know I'm over time now, but this is a vertical mill. This is something else we'll be installing at the operations. This is an old ball mill. These things aren't very efficient, quite honestly. This is right here, you can imagine just a blender. You're blending the ore to a perfect particle size when it gets to the very top. So you're shooting the ore through all these different discs, and as a result, you get a perfect particle size at the very end, which increases recoveries. With this old technology, you're still getting big chunks of rock sometimes out of the mill, which just doesn't get recovered through the cyanidation circuit, and it just goes into tailings, so you're throwing it away. But we'll be installing these vertical mills. They're about $2.5 million each at the operations over the next few years. It won't happen this year, but it'll be staged out over the next few years. So it's very exciting technology, actually. Yeah, this is the gold to silver ratio. Future catalysts, which we covered most of them. Again, sorry, this is a very fast presentation. And that's basically it. So, again, if you have any questions, feel free to come by the booth.